Heyo everybody, this is another installment of Finding Sensibility, where we take positive or inspirational quotes and we see if we can make them work in our day-to-day or if they might just be a product of their times. Today is a quote that comes from one Ayn Rand. All you have to do is look straight and see the road. And when you see it, don't sit looking at it. Walk. We're going to talk a little bit about Ayn Rand, and she was a phenomenal philosopher. Although she was very controversial at times. You may recognize the name more so from kind of her pinnacle works, one being The Fountainhead and the other being Atlas Shrugged. Those were two books that she wrote that were stories about achievement, economics, capitalism, and to a certain extent virtue. Her big motif was kind of founding the idea of Objectivism, in which, according to Rand, the natural world exists. Its existence is not dependent on our minds. She is a metaphysical realist in this way. Furthermore, she denies all supernaturalism, determinism, and fatalism. The most important function of man for Rand is his capacity for reason. Reason is man's fundamental gift, and with it he can uncover the laws and intricacies of nature. So, our ability to understand ourselves and not only come to a comprehension of it, but a valuation of it, an ability to say that these things are significantly more important than these things, or I can take both of these things and put them in an order that makes the most sense to facilitate what she also called the selfish virtue, or the virtue of the selfish. This does not mean that we can do whatever we want, but that the goal of human life is to attain happiness. To attain true happiness for the individual, one must exercise reason. Reason should guide our decisions and our actions. We gain self-esteem from acting in accordance with our reason for the purpose of attaining happiness. And that is the virtue of selfishness in a quick breakdown. So essentially what Ayn Rand tries to promote is this idea that not only do we all have the capability to rationalize our understanding in a hierarchy of ideals, but in addition to that, our mission with that reason is to cultivate within ourselves the best version of ourselves. And by doing so, we then are able to be of service to others. So my goal should not be to make myself into a person designed for service. My goal should be to hone the skills and the talents that I have as an individual, and by doing so, when the opportunity to use those skills and talents to help someone else comes up, I'm ready. So it's easy to turn some of that around, and especially in capitalism, where the biggest idea for capitalism is survival of the fittest. That's not exactly what capitalism is supposed to represent. It's essentially supposed to represent by being the biggest and the best that will facilitate taking care of the rest. Whereas communism is more about keeping everything down so that it stays level. Capitalism is more let the best rise to the top so that the best can facilitate care of the rest. And her ideals are misappropriated a lot of the time. but she also does have some pretty out there viewpoints and ideas. I go back and forth with Ayn Rand, and this quote is one where I'm definitely for it. I appreciate this stoic sensibility that is, if you're lucky enough to have a pathway in front of you, the objective is not to look at it and wonder where it goes and all of these different things. It's to utilize the path. It's to get on the path and move down it. And I say that like it's an easy thing. And I say that like the path is supposed to be a good path or an easy path. And that's not always the case. A lot of the time, the path is overgrown. It might not even look like a path. You just kind of have to know that it is. You kind of have to see that it actually goes in a direction. It's not a dead end, but you might have to crawl through some underbrush and some briars. But not everybody has a path. And a lot of the time the challenge can be just the finding of it in the first place. But once you do, it's the utmost importance to find a way to follow it and to find a way to move forward. Regardless of whatever else she may talk about or her ideas may be used for, above all, Ayn Rand believed in the human capacity for greatness. And greatness does not mean the best. Greatness does not mean overall achievement. Greatness for us means something different. Greatness for us means resilience and the ability to push through trials and tribulations. And even though it's hard, and even though it can be miserable, and it's so much easier to stop, and it's so much easier to break and give up and ignore wherever the rest of the path goes, what makes us human is our desire to see it through to the end, and our capacity to take on all of the terribleness that life can give us. And it's not easy, but we can all do it. It's all there inside us. It's hard to tap into, but it is. It's there. It really is. And we can keep moving forward, even if it's baby steps, even if it's crawling, even if it's scooting. We can make incremental progress forward down that path. And eventually we'll get there. But we just gotta find a way to move. Until next time, stay tuned and stay real.